February. I can never say this fucking month, man. February 15th, 2018. I need some coffee. Give me a second. So, I'm going to talk to you all a little bit about a lesson I learned when I was a kid, right? So, I want to say my 8th grade year or 7th grade year. I'm going to say 8th grade. This comic book shop, we finally had a comic book shop open up in my town of Lakeside. Before then, there was mostly just every now and then you would get a baseball card shop that would sell some comics. But this was an actual comic book shop. And my mind was blown. I was so happy. The guy who ran it, his name was Glenn, and the shop was called Action City. And Glenn was a nice dude. A little bit absent-minded, but nice guy. Yeah. Nice dude. Unfortunately, Glenn got caught up in the Death of Superman, Image Comics, like giant hype machine, and just did not understand how to navigate the speculators market that appeared like a blitzkrieg. I mean, with the chrome covers, he bought into all that nonsense, and just the shop wasn't doing well very, very quickly. He sold the shop to a guy named Pat Duffy, and Pat and his wife Adele. And Pat and Adele ran Action City for a long time, and really just made my high school years as a comic book fan what they were. Like Pat was a great dude. He's from New York, big Howard Stern fan. His wife too. They had kids, and they're just good fucking people, man. They're good people, genuinely nice people, and nerds. You know, they could get into it, you know, but always respectful. Even though he's from New York, right? And you'd think, oh, you know, maybe that New York pushiness, which I respect, and in some ways I know I sort of relate to. But I always respected that they would never fucking tell you what to buy. Pat and Adele had no love for Rob Liefeld, and a lot of Image Comics, but they knew I loved my Spawn. I'd call down there, and it'd be raining like a fucking storm, and just I'd call, and Adele would be there, and I'd say, "Hey, did you get the new Spawn in?" And she's like, "Yeah, we got your Spawn." I'm like, "I'm on my way," you know. They're just like shocked that I'd walk, 2 miles in the fucking rain for a copy of Spawn. And hey man, we all love our stuff. And when I show up to the shop, there's this small little like single room hole in the wall. So you'd walk in. On your right hand side, you'd have the glass case that would come out, turn right, and go left. So that whole back wall was the comic shop. This was their second iteration. The first iteration, everything was reversed. It was actually in another store. It was in the room to the left. There was another shop to the left. So you'd walk into there, and they'd be on the left, and the comics would be on the right. Now that used to be a sports card shop a couple years prior, and then it became a jewelry store. Pat moved into the spot next to that, which had a lot more room. So you walk into this room, and you got the counter along the wall to the right, and then in the center he put the pull bins, like back issues would be in the center, and then on the left would be the wall with all the new shit. And he put the toys up on the wall, and behind him you'd have you know, sports cards, trading cards. I don't know if he had Magic at the time. He had some Magic. It wasn't that popular at the time. It just come out. I would go in there, and you know, if it was like a day off school or it was the weekend, there wouldn't be anyone in there for at least like an hour. If I went in there, it'd be at least an hour before someone else would come in, because I'd go in weird times, and it would give me a chance to just talk to people about comics. I could talk to Pat and Adele about comics in general. Creators, like really big on creators. Not so much what characters doing what to who. I never gave a shit, but the creator talk, like who's writing what, who's drawing what, who's inking, the colorist on this book, and that's the stuff like Pat could really get into. He was a real big fan of creators and art talent. So much so, when they first bought this shop from Glenn, and it was in the space to the left of the one I'm talking about, the simpler one, I came in to meet them, and for some reason I just happened to be with my buddy Rich and a friend of ours at the time named Jay, and we go in there, and Rich and Jay could be a little bit of a five-finger ninja thief. All right. I am not. I saved my lunch money. I'd draw drawings. My dad would get sodas. I'd take the sodas from home and resell them. Whatever I did, I'd always scrounge up cash and go buy my comics. The one time I brought Rich and Jay in there, they decided to thieve a couple copies of Wizard issue 25, the Rob Liefeld variant cover. Rob Liefeld did I don't know, he did the cover or variant cover. It was some special version. That might have just been one of those gold versions of Wizard Comics. Wizard Comics was like, you know, the internet for comics. It was a magazine at the time. It was the magazine for comics. And it was kind of cool because they were doing drawn covers. So you'd buy an issue and it would always have this like, fold out gatefold cover that was drawn and exclusive, and I always appreciated that a lot. So, but yeah, these guys jacked comic, and Pat was like looking at his shelf. He's like, "Hey, where'd that fucking comic go? You know, where'd the Wizard go?" And they're like, "I don't know what you're talking about." I didn't know it. All my life, I had no fucking clue these guys were gonna jack some shit, let alone when I was there. Like, and otherwise, I would have not gone with them, you know. And Pat's like, "Hey, you know, that fucking Wizard was right there, you know." And I was like talking about my Pat, man, I was talking to you, dude. I just want to buy my comics. I don't know what the hell's going on. And then Pat looks back and the Wizard magazine's right back where it was. Just magically reappeared. And so Pat kicked us all out, you know. And I was fucking depressed. I was yelling at my friends, like, "What the fuck is wrong with you guys?" You know. And then I had a problem, right? It's the only comic book shop in town. What am I gonna do? Well, I gotta go back and fucking make amends. See, up to that point in life, I had developed this habit of anytime things got difficult, I ran away. And I know life tells you don't run away from your problems, but I'm telling you, running away solves a lot of problems. When 4 kids show up after school to kick your ass versus just one, running away solves problems. I ran away all the fucking time. A few times from my house, I'd just leave. And you know, my dad would send out half the fucking sheriff's force after my ass and drag me home. So I did the simple math. That there's no way around this. I need to go in there, take the hits, buy my comic, and leave. And then go in the next time, take the hits, buy my comic, and leave. There's no way around this. And never go back with my friends until they chill out, right? So I picked up my $5. I always took $5, so it was like $2.50 for Spawn, and I can grab like a couple back issues in the dollar bin or something. And I go down to the shop, and the first thing I noticed on the wall was this drawing. It was a really cool drawing, very Jim Lee-esque at the time, colored with markers, very, very cool. And it was this Wolverine beheading a teenager. And it said, all shoplifters will be prosecuted to the fullest extent, you know? And I remember looking at the signature on there, and it said Pete Woods. You know, because, hey, there weren't a lot of comic book artists in that town. You know, like, when I say not a lot, I never met one of them. So, it's the first time I see someone be able to draw that well. And apparently, they lived local. Pete Woods went on to work for Wildstorm, went on to help relaunch Deadpool after McGinnis left, and is currently drawing and coloring Justice League. Pete Woods went on to have a pretty damn cool career, and he drew this shoplifting sign because my fucking dumbass best friend. I love Richard, man. He's like having that Corey Feldman friend who would do anything for you, you know. Sorry, the Joaquin Phoenix, right? He was this kid who he'd fight battles for you, but he would turn around and just do some stupid shit, you know. And so I walked into there, and man, fucking Pat wouldn't stop looking at me, you know. His wife was there with him, and she's looked. They were like the vultures, man. They just and I knew they were gonna just stare. What I didn't want them to do was kick me out. As long as they just didn't kick me out, I could walk to the shelf, pick up my issue of Spawn, look in the back issue bin for anything that got marked down, which wouldn't take more than about 5 minutes. I could just, you know, go to the counter, hand them my money, say thank you, and leave. It took many, many trips. It took like 6 months of this stuff. And Pat finally came around to realizing I was an okay kid when I relieved him of the burden of the Spawn Pogs. I don't know if you're aware of what Pogs are, but Pogs were one of the many stupidest fucking things that came over here in the fad boom of the 93, you know, I was around 93, 94. And Todd jumped in on the Pogs. So Pogs were these little like milk caps. So and it started in Hawaii or something. Kids would take milk caps that used to be on the inside of milk containers, and they would take like silver dollars or rocks or coins and smash them, basically. And then the kids would decorate these packs. And the idea was, you know, I don't know, it's a fucking stupid thing. And they came over here, and so everyone got on the stupid Pog craze, and I didn't give two shits about the game. But Spawn Pogs came out, and what I liked about it was that it just had a lot of artwork. I just wanted every bit of Spawn art I could get. If there was anything exclusive, anything new, whatever. And Pat had like 6 boxes of these fucking things on his wall. And every time I come in there, I see the Spawn Pogs, and just they were like 100, and then down to 50, and then down to 20, and down to 10. And so I was like, I got some Christmas money that year, and I go in there with like $60, and I bought all of his Spawn Pogs, bro. Spent $60 on Spawn Pogs, and I didn't play Pogs. And Pat was like, "You're buying all these Pogs?" No, you like Pogs? I'm like, nah, man, I love Spawn. Do you really like Spawn that much? I'm like, yeah, man, you know, Todd, you know, he's writing and drawing his own comic, and the art's amazing. He's got this new artist, Capullo, and I didn't like his art at first. It's Jim Lee-ish. I like Jim Lee, I just didn't want Jim Lee clones. But the Capullo art was just getting so much better, and I was like, fuck, this book is so great. And so he sold me those bogs, and Pat just, we made up. Like, that was the day. You know, I guess I paid my penance. I relieved him of those fucking pogs. He made some money off that shit, you know. But I was able to talk to Pat that day just about creator stuff, and so every time I go into the store, I could talk to Pat or Adele about creator stuff. Like Adele fucking was annoyed to no end over Rob Liefeld. The hubris of Rob Liefeld. She was at the New York Con or whatever, right after Liefeld had done the 501 Jeans Button Your Fly commercial. I know, she said, no, it was at San Diego. I think it was at San Diego, and it was the distributors. So before cons, I know Comic-Con opened up, they'd have distributors night. And so all the shop owners would be able to go basically to the con early, and any exclusives that these companies had, they would be able to buy ahead of time. So when you showed up for con the next day, they would have those exclusive Comic-Con prints and stuff. It'd be distributors night. So how I remember it, and folks, I did no prep for this. I just saw some stuff on the internet and said, let me talk to about Action City. Adele would say that Rob Liefeld just came in this room and he was hot shit, you know. He just fucking thought he was the fucking world, you know. And these were grassroots, you know, Bronx style people, salt of the earth, man. And fake hubris was not something they responded to well at all, and she was not a fan. But I mean, that was cool, right? Because like I liked his action figure like comics, and I could tell when they were putting effort in, and I could tell when they were not. And but they never made fun of me for buying anything I fucking got. However, the second another customer would enter the store, I'd have to leave. I tried to hang out with other comic book shop people at first, but it just quickly devolved into arguments over whether Wolverine would do this or Wolverine would not do that, or, you know, just nerd levels. And they would look at what you'd buy and make fun of you. Oh, you're buying this? You suck, you know. Just fucking, I couldn't take it. And it's not that I didn't want to hear a negative fucking opinion. I lived in a home with a lot of negativity, so I was pretty immune to it. I just, these people were like in another world. They were like in a land of make-believe. I wanted to talk about who was drawing what, who was working on what, you know, whether this story was told well, page design, fonts, colors, you know, like I cared about the craft of the comic and whether things were selling, how the business was doing. And these guys wanted to get into shitstorms, fan nerd rage. We used to call them flame wars when I was a kid, right? Like the message boards on AOL and CompuServe and fucking Prodigy. Oh, Prodigy. And the bulletin boards, which Richard was on AOL and the bulletin boards a lot. And so someone would go in there and be like, your shit sucks, and then everyone would jump in and be flame war. And eventually you'd have these little like animated gifs of fire all over the internet. But this is what Twitter is now, and the forums, the dark side. Not always. It's Twitter's everything simultaneously. So, but this is the dark side to fandom, right? This is endless videos telling you how, oh, you're excited about a movie coming out this weekend? Well, you shouldn't be, because it's not that great. It's overhyped, it's overmarketed, it's over whatever. It's not as good as you thought it was, right? And then what they don't tell you is 20 years later, they're going to tell you how it was even better than you remembered, and it was actually really good, and everyone's wrong that it sucked. I went through this period going through Action City and learning that I don't relate to comic book fans. I relate to comic book creators. And so I don't hang out at shops. Ever. That's why I felt the most relatable at Comic-Con when it was about creators' rights. You know, when I could go in there and see the Image guys had the biggest booths because they were making the most money. And it was amazing to watch. And then around the late 90s, that went away. And now it's about the fucking movies and the TV shows. And look, they're fine, but I'm not. I'm a fan of the movies. I got my tickets to Black Panther. But I'm not like a fan. You understand what I'm saying? I like who made it, who wrote it, who are the visual effects guys, the costume designers, the actors, you know, the talent behind it, how does it play out, how is it edited. I mean, like, I love the craft of the films more than the actual movies. Because knowing how hard it is to make shit, the fact that if anything turns out well, fucking inspires me. The characters don't inspire me much, folks. You know, my father dealt with real crime and shit. You know, I've seen real heroes, right? So, like, I like the idea of a superhero, but that's all it is. It's just an idea. But the people who make the shit, that, you know, always have. And I could go into Action City and talk to Pat about the Milestone guys and Dwayne McDuffie and the fucking art on Milestone was so good compared to the rest of DC. It was so good. Was Image good? Man, I was like, I mean, you say Image good, like that's a joke, but guys are fucking, like, they were cinematic. You know, I couldn't talk to fans about the Milestone books because they would fucking just complain that they were all black. And I'm like, oh my God, what the? Like, my dad was brown, so I just didn't understand these arguments, you know. I just knew I didn't want to be a part of them. And it's what shields me from 99% of the internet's bullshit. Or the political whatever's popular now. Look, if you're watching the news today, folks, and you're feeling depressed or angry at politics or fucking whatever, two things. One, you can make a change over time. In 20 years from now, it's going to be something else. You know, it can be better. It can be worse. But I just don't engage with the trolls. I have to step back, kind of see what speaks to the truth, what makes you feel right, what's right and wrong. And for me, to walk 2 miles to go to a comic book shop and to just be told and argue about pettyless fucking comic shit that you don't like this character and this is dumb, versus how well did they execute something? You know, like what was their intent with this issue? Does it stand up to the other ones? You know, how was the coloring, the craft of it, the specifics? You know, that was how I wanted to spend my time. And that's how I spend my time to this very day. About anything, about politics, about music, about fucking anything. I take a step back and talk the craft of it, find out what's truth to me, and then I act on it. I purchase that comic. I vote. Or I don't buy something. But the chatter is demotivating at best. And mind-numbingly overwhelming. Like catastrophically overwhelming at worst, and I just can take the best out of people. So, rest assured, I will always do what I think is right and wrong, regardless of, you know, what's popular to do. And I learned that lesson at Action City Comics. And if you get a chance, go bug Pete Woods on Twitter and let him know, you know, about Action City and Pat and Adele. It's one of the few genuine things I miss about my childhood, those days. Good family, the Duffys. It is February 15th, 2018. I'm going to finish my yogurt and then I'm going to get back to work.